Last thing I wanted to talk about was Stephen A. Smith. So here's my idea on Stephen A. Smith. I did a handful of videos on Stephen A. Smith on certain things, especially his beef with Kyrie Irving and all that stuff, right? And it is my opinion, and players like Kwame Brown has said similar things. It is my opinion that Stephen A. Smith is not just an analyst that's entertaining sometimes, right? He's not just that. They pay him a lot of money, and it ain't just for entertainment. I think he's used as a mouthpiece to do other things. And I kind of explained some of that. I think, because he's really good friends with owners. He's good friends with the commissioner. I ain't gonna say good friends. He has a good relationship with a lot of owners, a lot of GMs, and he says this comes out of his own mouth. And the commissioner, Adam Silver, right? He's got a good relationship with them, a working relationship. They talk. They got each other phone numbers. So when you got a plant in a media like Stephen A. Smith, this is my opinion. I think he's a media plant, and he's a mouthpiece for several people, including the commissioner and some NBA GMs. And I think some of the things he say are strategic. And if you want to try to put two and two together, when you look at what the new CBA was and some of the things that came out of the new CBA, dealing with players playing games where they were saying, okay, now you got to pay 65 games minimum to be eligible for any major award. You can't get first team, second team, third team, defensive player of the year, MVP. You can't get any of those things. I don't even know if you can get rookie of the year without the minimum 65 games. And Adam Silver already came out and said that that's going to be something that they're going to try to do with the CBA before they actually negotiate it, because he was saying they think that players load managing and sitting out games is an issue. So we have documented that the NBA and the commissioner already had a problem with players not playing games, and they wanted to alleviate it or fix it or combat it or change that, right? So they already said that that's what they want to do. So we know the NBA and the owners do not like when players sit out, right? All right, so I say all that to say this. Now, let's go back to the type of players and the type of comments Stephen A. make when it comes to players that miss games or load manage. The last 4 years, he's been talking about it. You can just pull it up. Stephen A. Smith and load manage. He's been talking about it, right? And in a particular player, Kyrie Irving. Now, he wasn't really load managing, right? He got suspended 2 straight years. He got suspended for the vaccination, and he got suspended for a tweet last year, missing those games. But his suspension brought out so much venom from Stephen A. Smith. He talked so much about that man. And Kwame Brown and myself as well kept saying the way Stephen A. Smith is making it his personal business to come out and talk about Kyrie and talk about how he's not worth a long-term contract. Do not give him a long-term contract. Do not give him a long-term contract. He just kept beating it in everybody's head. Don't give him a long-term contract. And he kept doing it all the way up until he left Brooklyn, got to Dallas, and in this summer, he finally signed his long-term contract. Now that he signed that contract, Stephen A. Smith don't have a lot of negative things to say about him because there's no point. So that lets me know that the reason why he was trying to do it was to try to get him not to get a long-term contract, or try to help whoever the GM was that was going to sign him, try to help him leverage that reputation of him missing games to somehow be beneficial to them so they can get a team-friendly contract with Kyrie Irving, who's a superstar, right? He just kept trying to diminish his character and his worth, and I thought it was an agenda behind it. Well, now he ain't got a lot of bad stuff to say. He already signed a deal. He got a shoe deal. What else? I mean, it's no point of trying to diminish his worth now because he already got the money. So now what is he going to do? He's going to pivot to another player. Before I reveal what player he pivoted to, let me play how he talks about Kyrie Irving now. Listen to how mellow he is. No venom. He's not being too harsh. He even said, hey, man, he got his money. You know what I mean? It worked out for him. He doing good in Dallas, right? It's cool. And then we go play how his new target is. We go play the the audio of his new target. But this is what he's saying about Kyrie.
But at this particular moment in time, I'm not going to say anything. Right now, I want to get to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is an NBA superstar for the Dallas Mavericks, now formerly of the Brooklyn Nets, formerly of the Boston Celtics, formerly of the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which he won a title with LeBron James in 2016 after they overcame a 3-1 deficit and knocked off Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and the Golden State Warriors to help LeBron James deliver the first title to the city of Cleveland in over a half century. That Kyrie Irving has made news for a variety of reasons that one could easily deduce has damaged his career to some degree, but I think he's recovered nicely. Went to Dallas, averaged over 26 a game in the games that he played with Luka Doncic and under coach Jason Kidd coaching, even though they missed the playoffs and they didn't get to the play-in or anything like that. They didn't want to get to the play-in, so they missed the playoffs. It's one of those situations where he ended up re-signing and ultimately got a 3-year deal. Props to him because Kyrie Irving is box office. Kyrie Irving is worth over $35 million a year. My issue with him is just be on the court and play. Just be on the court and play. Don't miss so many damn games. As long as he's playing, I'm good with Kyrie Irving, period, okay? All of that stuff is days of the past. He made news again.
He said all of that other stuff was days of the past. Me coming out to Kyrie Irving personally and trying to diminish his worth and say he's not worth a long-term deal, that's all the days of the past. Why is it the days of the past? Because he already got a long-term deal and there's no point in me doing it no more. So that lets me know that there was a purpose behind it. He was trying to diminish his worth so he can get a lesser contract or not get a long-term deal at all. Because his suggestion was Kyrie Irving should be signed for 1-year deals every year. That was his suggestion. He said it multiple times. 1-year deals every year. That was his suggestion, right? Who was he speaking for? And why is it not even a conversation anymore? Why? So oh man, that was the past. I'm good with Kyrie. That was the past. So he's not going to be going out to Kyrie anymore because he already got his money, right? He got paid, got his long-term deal, got his shoe deal back. I'm done with Kyrie. Now what's next? Well, when he first started talking about Kyrie, it was real close to his contract. At the end of his contract, he had a player option, and just like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George now for the Clippers, they both have 1 year left with a player option for the 2024 season. So they're playing on their last year unless they take that player option. So most players don't want to play on that player option. They want to secure a long-term deal the summer before they have to take the option. They want to like this season should be the year they're looking for a new contract. They're negotiating, right? Just like Kyrie Irving when he was at Brooklyn, when it was time for him to negotiate his contract, that's when Stephen A. Smith was the loudest and saying that he didn't deserve X, Y, and Z. I think that he was speaking for Josiah and Sean Marks at that time, trying to help them corner Kyrie and hopes that he'll take some lesser deal or some deal covered with player incentives, right? Or at the worst, a 1 year deal, play on a 1 year deal every year. I think he's doing that again with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Listen to what he said about that.
You've missed 119 of 308 regular season games. That's 38% due to injuries. In that time span, you've earned $148.2 million in your career. $57.3 million of those monies were for games missed. Kawhi Leonard He's missed 147 of 308 regular season games. That's 48% due to injuries. Kawhi's earned $146.9 million in his career with the Clippers. About $70.8 million were for games he's missed. I don't see the Clipper fans getting any refunds. I still am waiting for that championship from the fair-weather stepchild known as the Clippers compared to the Lakers. If you combine your money with his money, that equates to $102 million in salary and $17 million in endorsements.
So that's just a piece of it. That was more. This was an episode that was, I mean, it was all Paul George. He was supposed to be clapping back at Paul George because on a previous episode he went. As a matter of fact, was it on his First Take show? Yeah, he went at Kawhi Leonard saying, "You should have played hurt in the playoffs against Phoenix, and you're wasting people's money." And he called Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar, not in the NBA, but in sports. He said it's the worst superstar in sports, right? And Paul George had something to say about that on his podcast. He was like, "Look, man, like you don't know what people do to get ready to play, and you don't know when people can play and when they can't play. Like going out there to play 5 minutes for what? Why would I make an injury worse by going out there trying to play on it? Why would I go out there when I really can't be 100% to help my team and try to do it because you feel like I'm sitting out games on purpose? Like seriously, like these people, Kawhi Leonard is not that type of dude who don't really want to play. But I think the goal of Stephen A. Smith now is to help the Clippers. I don't know I don't know if it's the commissioner or if these GMs are calling him. I don't know what it is, but it always seems around that contract. He's putting his mouth on somebody to try to diminish their worth. So now he's saying that they're getting free money and they're not doing nothing. And it's a waste of money for the Clippers to pay them, and they're the worst superstar, and all this crazy stuff. And we're just about to start counting their checkbooks and their wallets, and putting it all out there on TV and on your show. This is somehow some type of big news, but no one's ever gonna talk about how much the Clippers are making because Paul George and Kawhi are on the roster. Like just having them on the roster boosting them up. Like they just built a new arena for the Clippers. They're going to finally get out of the daggone basement of the Lakers and get their own arena. And you think that they want to go into their arena without their two superstars, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? No. But if you let Stephen A. Smith talk about it, he's going to be talking about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard just as much and just as bad as he talked about Kyrie Irving for the last 2 or 3 years. And I think the purpose of him doing all that is just to diminish their worth. And hopefully they take lesser contracts or whatever. I don't know what his real motive is, but it's just weird, man. It's just weird, and I think the NBA probably is applauding him for doing it because the way he tell it, man. He like, look, man, I talk to all people all around the league. This is what they're saying. So he's in a roundabout way saying that he's the mouthpiece of several people around the league, several GMs and the commissioner. He's saying this is how they talk about these players. So I think it's interesting to even kind of pay attention to, man. Let's just see how far he would go with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Let's see if he keep talking about their wallet. And maybe this was a warning shot. Maybe this was a look, man, that you could be my target. You could be my next target. I'm done with Kyrie. You can be my next target, or just keep my name out your mouth and I won't say nothing about you either. So maybe this was a warning shot, but something tells me this is going to be his new topic for this upcoming season. He'll be talking about this a lot. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and their missed game. So keep your eye on for that. Appreciate y'all for tuning into the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share that episode as well. If you're watching from Facebook, make sure you go over to YouTube and give us a sub over there. Help us build that channel up on YouTube. Other than that, man, I see y'all on the next episode with the full panel. Peace. Peace.